Hello, my name's Tom Carhill. It's the 10th of December 2013. I'd like to make a quick video which poses some questions by juxtapositioning certain things together. Now, in America, as described by Wikipedia, there was an Operation Mockingbird, which was where the state, the CIA, and this is what Wikipedia says about it, funded anti-government or so-called anti-government groups to attack the government, but they were obviously controlled and they were used to get certain people in trouble, all of that kind of thing. Now, another thing, quite a lot of you, if you're from England, you might have looked at David Noakes, Noakes, sorry. David Noakes did a very interesting talk on Edge Media TV a few years ago, and he explained that he'd found documents which clearly were treasonous, and they were showing that there'd been a massive public budget on pro-EU propaganda. So as taxpayers, we were paying for our own propagandization. And I'm not talking about the BBC alone here. I'm talking about an actual budget which was specially set up for this. And he said, as far as the records he could find were, even taking into account depreciation of the currency, the spending was going up each year proportionately to, you know, the amount of money in the economy and stuff. The spend was going up all of the years that he could find any records. So what I'm trying to say is, from way back when, they were spending money on this pro-communist EU propaganda, and this was admitted if you look back 30 years when the documents are released from the Official Secrets Act and stuff like that, and the controls on them are less easy to get. So he's just presuming that they, well, let's just say they stopped spending proportionately more. There's no evidence they stopped spending on it, and each year it gets released that there was a budget on pro-EU propaganda. Right, so you've got Operation Mockingbird. I know it's America, but they do the same kind of thing in America they do here. And you've got pro-EU propaganda, and we all know that the government does this problem reaction solution where they actually fund their opposition, and all of the major, you know, kind of Marxist thinkers explain how this works. As you know, Marxist is neither left-wing or right-wing. Communism and fascism are just different ways of getting the same total control over the populace. So they're the opposite of individualism, aren't they? Right, so you've got the Operation Mockingbird type tactics, then you've got the pro-EU type tactics. Now, in England, you've got the media that's on the telly and in the newspapers, on the radio, and then you've got the alternative media. Right now, the alternative media, you would think, would be the people who would be propagating the Operation Mockingbird style tactic, including the pro-EU hidden as anti-EU tactic, and doing things such as effecting legislative changes as a result of actions that they'd orchestrate, which would make it look reasonable to the state, for instance, to take greater control, such as people all mobbing a magistrate's court in Birkenhead, which wasn't even a hearing. It was just an announcement that someone was going to be discharged from bankruptcy or something. Mobbing it with a big angry mob and then trying to cart the judge off. Things like that obviously may bring about legislative change. Now, if you remember, in that particular instance, a man called Rusty, that was his nickname, I forget his proper name, he went to prison, and Brian Gerrish and Roger Hayes weren't corresponding with him when he went to prison. So, in that instance, you have a very good example of how they whipped up this mass mob of ignoramuses, mainly, to go to a court and try and arrest a judge. But you're not allowed to arrest judges, and wouldn't it have been better if they just got their facts right to start off with and gone down the normal legal process and, you know, remained very vigilant within that process? See, what they've done there is they've given any policeman, any person in the army, or any person in the judiciary, or any other associated organ of the state which is responsible for control, a cast iron reason where if you saw the same thing happening again, you would feel duty bound to intervene, because it looks like mass mega disorder, and it's something that you can easily justify intervening in. Even just a passerby, if you saw someone trying to grab the judge, you know you're not allowed to grab the judge. So if they intervened, you could say, well, they were trying to grab the judge. Clearly wrong. I don't know why, but it's clearly wrong. So then the idea that the idea came to me that Operation Mockingbird, who is the Operation Mockingbird now? Now, if you link that to other videos I've done about Brian Gerrish and his obviously being a CointelPro, yet he still appears to have funding. And who else? I mean, you've obviously got other people in England, like you've got Ian Crane, you've got Richard D. Hall, all do some, quite good work. I'm not going to state what I think about them, but the point is, there are other people who do work in England. You've got Chris Spivey, he does lots of good work. The point is that he's not the only person, but he still seems to be getting funding, and a lot of people seem to think he's been doing a really good job. Now, if you add to that, as has been the subject of one of my other videos, why did he used to be so riveting and interesting and appear to be dealing with big issues and claim that he had all this massive backlash against him? Now he's gone to extremely boring videos, so his public speaking has got worse as he's learned more stuff, as he's got more support. So how has that happened? It doesn't make any sense. So, who are the Operation Mockingbird people now? This has been covered, I think, by Brian Gerrish. Definitely the promotion of the EU has been a state policy. That's definitely been covered to death by him. So why hasn't that continued? And why, when he says that David Cameron has promised next year that he's going to stop people like Brian Gerrish saying what he's saying, why does that next year never come? Why, in fact, has none of his videos ever been taken down? I think this is very obvious. And I think if you just consider it on that very basic fact, clearly he must be CointelPro, and also he's